Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something pretty interesting that happened on Wall Street recently.
Yeah, quite the reaction.
Exactly. You probably saw the headlines. MongoDB's CEO shocks Wall Street by saying AI workloads not a material driver yet as Fortune 500 clients power growth.
And the stock absolutely rocketed after hours, didn't it? Over 30% jump.
It really did. Even Jim Cramer weighed in, saying, bears didn't see Mongo coming. Classic Cramer.
Yeah.
So what's actually going on? We're doing a deep dive today into MongoDB's latest earnings, Q2 fiscal 2026 specifically. They reported really strong growth.
Impressive numbers, definitely.
But in this climate where everyone thinks AI is like the engine behind everything, MongoDB's CEO, Devati Sharia, basically said, hold your horses.
A dose of realism, perhaps.
Maybe. So our mission today is to unpack this. What's really fueling MongoDB's numbers if it's not primarily AI right now? And, what does this tell us about how AI is actually being adopted in the big enterprise world?
Yeah, the reality versus the hype.
Right. And to figure this out, we've looked at the MongoDB Q2 earnings call transcript, of course, plus analysis from places like Motley Fool, NASDAQ, A-Invest, StockTwits, and also some broader reports on data management trends for the next few years.
A good cross-section of sources.
Okay, so let's start with those numbers. They were undeniably strong. What exactly did MongoDB report that got Wall Street so buzzed?
Well, the top line was definitely beat. They brought in $591 million in revenue for Q2. That's up 24% year over year, which was significantly ahead of what analysts expected.
24% is solid growth.
It is, and crucially, Atlas, that's their cloud database service, grew even faster, up 29% year over year.
Wow, okay.
And Atlas now makes up 74% of their total revenue. That's up from 72% just the previous quarter, so its importance is clearly growing.
So the cloud transition is really accelerating.
Absolutely. And profitability looked good, too. Non-GAAP operating income was $87 million, giving them a 15% operating margin. Non-GAAP gives you a sense of the core operational performance.
Right, stripping out some of the noise.
Exactly. And they kept adding customers, about 2,800 net new customers in the quarter. That brings their total to just under 60,000. So yeah, pretty healthy metrics all around.
Okay, 60,000 customers. Those are strong numbers. Which brings us back to the big question. If AI isn't the main driver yet, what did the CEO point to? What's the real story behind this growth?
He was very clear about it. Devati Sharia said, and I'm quoting roughly here, the growth was really driven by our core business and our core customer base.
Their core business.
Meaning big enterprises. They've made this really strategic push up market, and it's clearly working. Get this. Over 70% of the Fortune 500 are MongoDB customers now.
70%. That's huge penetration.
It really is. And it includes some heavy hitters. 7 of the top 10 banks, 14 of the 15 biggest healthcare companies, 9 out of 10 largest manufacturers globally.
Okay, so they're landing the whales.
They are. And the thinking is that these higher quality, often mission-critical workloads from these huge companies tend to grow faster and stick around longer. So it's less about hype and more about solid execution in their main market.
That makes a lot of sense. It begs the question, though, why are these massive, sophisticated companies choosing MongoDB for critical stuff? What's the secret sauce there?
Well, they position themselves as an enterprise-ready database. That phrase comes up a lot. It means they focus heavily on security, durability, availability, performance, the table stakes for big enterprise.
Right, the non-negotiables.
Exactly. But the big differentiator, I think, is their flexible document model, especially its native support for JSON. This is just much better suited for handling what they call the messy, complicated, and highly interdependent and constantly changing data structures you find everywhere today.
Ah, so stuff that doesn't fit neatly into traditional rows and columns.
Precisely. Think about modern applications, IoT data, user profiles. It's often complex. It evolves quickly. Trying to shoehorn that into a rigid relational database can be, well, painful.
I can imagine. It sounds like that flexibility is a key selling point for enterprises dealing with modern data challenges.
It absolutely is. And they gave some concrete examples on the call, like one major global automaker. They apparently hit scaling and flexibility walls with PostgreSQL.
Oh, interesting. A common alternative.
Right. So they moved to MongoDB Atlas to manage data from over 8.5 million connected vehicles, help them consolidate infrastructure, innovate faster.
8.5 million vehicles. That's serious scale. Any other examples that stood out?
Yeah, Deutsche Telekom. They picked Atlas as the core for their internal developer platform. And this isn't just some side project. It runs mission-critical things like contract management and billing for 30 million customers.
Wow.
Get this, they're handling 15 times the concurrent logins compared to their old legacy systems. They've got 90 Atlas clusters managing over 60 million customer records.
That's incredible performance uplift.
It really highlights the scalability. And another thing they emphasize is platform optionality. Basically, you get a consistent MongoDB experience, whether you run it yourself on-premise with Enterprise Advanced, or use Atlas in the cloud, or even across multiple clouds.
So no vendor lock-in, basically. More flexibility for the customer long-term.
That's the idea. Gives customers control and avoids boxing them in.
Okay, this paints a clear picture of why their core business is thriving. But let's circle back to the AI elephant in the room. The CEO says AI workloads are not a material driver yet. Wall Street was surprised, but is he really downplaying AI's importance to MongoDB, or is it more nuanced?
I think it's definitely more nuanced. Area did acknowledge they have thousands of AI-native customers choosing Atlas, so startups and companies focused purely on AI are using them.
Okay, so they are attracting AI business.
They are. But he clarified that in terms of revenue this quarter, that segment just isn't big enough yet to be a material mover of the needle. It's growing, but off a smaller base compared to the huge enterprise deals.
Got it. So it's about relative contribution right now.
Exactly. And for the big enterprises, his take was that AI adoption is real but early. He sees it mainly in things like internal employee productivity tools or maybe packaged IoT solutions. Less risky stuff.
Not the core business-transforming AI applications yet.
Not broadly, no. He talked about the real enduring value from custom AI apps that fundamentally change a business. That's still mostly on the horizon for large companies. They're still in the very early stages figuring things out.
So it's not a dismissal, just a realistic timeline check for enterprise AI.
That's how I read it. Patience is needed.
Okay, but this raises another question. MongoDB is actively adding AI features, right? Like vector search. You mentioned they're redefining what's core for the database. How does that compare to competitors like PostgreSQL adding PG vector? Is MongoDB's approach fundamentally different?
That's a really key point. Yes, others are adding capabilities, often through extensions like PG vector. But MongoDB's strategy is to natively integrate things like search, vector search, embeddings, even stream processing directly into the core database.
Natively integrated versus bolted on.
Kind of. The argument is that with something like Postgres, you often end up having to stitch together and maintain a patchwork of disparate systems. You might need Postgres plus Pinecone for vector search, maybe Elastic for text search, perhaps Cohere for embeddings.
Right, managing multiple different tools and making them work together.
Exactly. MongoDB's pitch is that their integrated platform simplifies that whole stack. Less complexity, less integration hassle for developers.
Does that integration translate into real-world advantages?
They believe so. They cited an example, a leading electric vehicle company. They apparently evaluated MongoDB's vector search against PostgreSQL's PG vector for an in-vehicle voice assistant.
Okay, a direct comparison.
And they chose MongoDB, citing superior performance at scale. They needed to handle over 1 billion vectors, apparently.
1 billion vectors.
Yeah.
Yeah, scale matters there.
Definitely. And CAGR also touched on the underlying data model again. He suggested that while many AI founders might start with Postgres because it's familiar, they can hit performance issues with JSONB the way Postgres handles JSON, especially with documents over, say, 2 kilobytes.
Why is that?
Because of something called off-road storage. Basically, the large JSON data gets stored separately, which can slow down retrieval compared to MongoDB's native BSON JSON handling, which is designed for those complex, changing structures inherent in a lot of AI data.
Interesting. So architecturally, MongoDB might be better suited for the kind of messy data AI often deals with.
That's certainly their argument. It handles those highly interdependent and constantly changing data structures more efficiently at scale.
Okay, so if MongoDB has these native AI features and potential architectural advantages, why is the CEO being so cautious about the immediate revenue impact? What's the break on enterprise adoption?
I think Edi put it quite well. He said something like, most people overestimate the impact of a new technology, AI, in the short term, but underestimate in the long term.
The classic Gartner hype cycle idea.
Pretty much. Enterprises, especially the big regulated ones, are naturally cautious.
Yeah.
They have real concerns about the quality of the output from AI models.
Mm.
AI is probabilistic, not deterministic like traditional software. Hallucinations are a real issue.
Right. You can't have your core banking system just making things up.
Exactly. Plus, there are major considerations around system security, stability, reliability, scalability when you're talking about deploying AI into mission-critical workflows. So they're starting with those low-stakes use cases first, building confidence.
That makes perfect sense from an enterprise risk perspective. Okay, let's zoom out a bit. How does this whole strategy focusing on enterprise core, building native AI features, patiently waiting for broader AI adoption? How does that fit into the bigger picture? What are the broader data management trends for, say, 2025 and beyond?
It actually aligns really well with several key trends. First, the overall enterprise database market is huge and growing. Estimates put it around $50 billion for 2025, with projections of maybe 12% compound annual growth through 2033.
So, a healthy market to be in?
Definitely. And a major driver is cloud adoption, big data analytics, security, all areas MongoDB plays in. But a really significant trend is this move towards consolidation and rebundling of data platforms.
Meaning fewer, more integrated tools.
Precisely. Companies are tired of stitching together dozens of niche tools. They want more integrated end-to-end platforms from vendors. MongoDB's strategy of building search, vector search, etc., natively into the database fits perfectly with this. It avoids that patchwork of disparate systems problem.
So they're playing into that consolidation trend directly.
They are. Another related concept gaining traction is the semantic layer architecture, basically, making data easier to understand and query consistently across an organization, and also the zero-copy principle.
Zero copy, what's that?
It's the idea of accessing data where it lives, from multiple sources, in real time, without having to make lots of costly, complex copies of it. MongoDB's architecture, by keeping data context together, supports these ideas of reducing data movement and complexity.
Interesting. And what about AI itself, beyond just the big, large language models everyone talks about?
Yeah, that's another key trend. Organizations are realizing they need more than just LLMs. They're reinvesting in foundational capabilities like natural language processing, NLP, named entity recognition, NER, and other machine learning techniques to really understand their own data.
Building smarter systems, not just chatbots.
Exactly. It's about enabling knowledge intelligence, or KI, integrating that deep human and organizational knowledge with AI capabilities. MongoDB's platform with vector search and embeddings is well suited for this, and their acquisition of Voyage AI last year fits right in.
Ah, Voyage AI, what did that bring them?
It brought advanced models specifically designed for enterprise tasks, like understanding context in long documents, that's Voyage Context 3, or re-ranking search results for better relevance, which is Re-rank 2.5. Things tailored for business use cases, not just general AI.
Got it. More focused AI tools.
Right. And one final trend is data governance, shifting from governance to enablement, making it easier for people across the business to access and use data responsibly, fostering self-sufficiency. MongoDB's developer focus aligns with that democratization idea too.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. What we've really learned today is that MongoDB's strong results aren't some AI-fueled anomaly, not yet anyway.
No, it seems grounded in solid business execution.
Right. It's driven by winning large, critical workloads from major enterprises, leveraging the success of their Atlas Cloud platform. AI-native companies are using them, drawn by the flexible model and integrated features.
But the big money from enterprise AI applications is still mostly in the future, as companies navigate those early stages carefully.
So, for you, the listener, this deep dive really shows how, even in a market buzzing with hype, like AI, core business strength and smart strategic positioning for what's next can drive fantastic results, maybe more quietly.
It's a good reminder that transformative tech takes time to really embed itself in the enterprise. Architecture and fundamentals still matter hugely.
Absolutely. Which leaves us with the final thought. MongoDB is building this robust, enterprise-ready foundation with native AI capabilities baked in, arguably before the mass market truly demands it at scale. Could this patient strategy, focusing on durability and long-term utility, actually position them to be even more dominant when that big enterprise AI wave finally crests?
It's certainly a compelling strategy, building the infrastructure before the rush hour hits.
Definitely something we'll be keeping an eye on. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.